What's good, everybody? I hope you guys are doing well. So this is a different video, different type of video. What I'm gonna do is go through my losses and then go to the trade that I took, which is EuroCAD, and I'm still in. Okay, first loss, right, was NZDCHF. Why did I take the loss? First of all, I did not zoom out because if you look at the levels right here on the 4 hours, go to the 4 hour, you can see that this level right here is a level of support. Price has already bounced off it. But because I did not see it, that's what they say. So you have to trade what you see and put away your emotions. Because when you are emotional in the market, you take losses. And when you come back to the market and you look at it, the I don't know the structure, you realize, oh, this was a bad mistake. Okay. So NZDCHF, the reason I took the trade. First of all, it was after FOMC. So you imagine that there was a lot of volume into the market, right? Volatility. Price went down. Okay. I was like, okay, if the FOMC meeting is less hawkish than expected, because they were expecting rate hikes, like 30% of people were expecting rate hikes, and a hawkish statement by Wash. And guess what? Wash did not deliver that. So he kept the rate still, but a lot of three members of the board were leaning toward rate hikes. Okay, so when that dovish, like pretty much on the overall, it's hawkish, but it's less dovish. It's less hawkish than expected by the market. So usually dollar stumbles a little bit at least. Okay, so I was like, okay, we are in a risk-off environment. Dollar stumbles. Swiss franc is expected to get higher, strengthen because it's a risk-off asset. In New Zealand dollars, a risk-on asset, and we have bad Australian data related news on the debut of the week. So I was like, okay, then CHF sales. Little did I know that I did not have enough confirmation because I should have waited for a pullback and then another bearish engulfing. But I entered right here, put my stop loss above, yeah, and took a loss. But I did it really fast because when I saw these big bullish engulfing candles, I was like, all right, this is a lot of volume. I'm probably gonna take a loss. Next trade, Euro NZD. And the reason I should have took this trade is because I did not look at the bigger picture. If you look at this bigger picture, you realize, okay, this is a resistance level. But at that time, I was only focused on this little spot. That's why I took a loss. So don't get me wrong, price went in my favor, big enough to move, right? Probably might have to implement going into break even really soon. Price went to my favor, right? And then all of a sudden, no, probably entering on 2 hour. This is where I entered. Okay, this was a nice one. This is where I entered. Okay, price went in my favor, and then boom, took a loss. Why? Because if I looked at a bigger picture, I would have realized that this zone right here is the most important zone because it's the daily area of interest. Has been rejected multiple times by the market on the daily time frame, and a daily area of interest is more important than a 4 hour area of interest. So, a loss. Next trade, I think it was NTDJPY. Well, this one was a I don't. I'm not gonna call it a good trade because first of all, fundamentally, I was right. But why this big move happened towards downside, why I was in long position, is simple because the Bank of Japan did intervene into the market. And whenever the BOJ intervenes to the market, I don't know which pair you are into, it's gonna go down if it's Japanese yen related, right? Like NTDJPY, ADJPY, EuroJPY is gonna go down, no matter what the fundamentals are, because they let's say what they are looking for is for the Japanese yen to gain in strength. So NZDJPY, the sum um go down, took a loss, keep my head up, and I'm moving on. This is the trade that I'm the most mad with. CHFJPY. I was on the right side. But the problem is I did not hold the trade. and I exited at break even. So this is pretty much my trade. If you look at my previous video, I probably showed you all what I entered, and this is where I did it. Come on, this is my trade right here, and I left all this on the table. Imagine, this is my trade, and I left all of this on the table. Why? Because I was not patient enough, right? So if I were a little bit more patient, I would have took this win, right? But still, it's a win because I did not lose, right? And if you look at the economic calendar, on Friday we have the Bank of Japan meeting, which was expected to be hawkish because sooner or later they were going to intervene, and that was the right moment. Because you have to understand that when the Bank of Japan intervenes, the Bank of Japan intervenes when there's less volume, less volatility in the market. And what happened? What made that volatility decrease in the market was the Wash statement. When Kevin Wash came out and was like, okay, we are probably gonna move into rate hikes, but maybe later or something. That's when dollar hawkishness decreased. And at that same moment, the BOJ was like, okay, right moment to intervene, and then they intervene. That was a pretty strong move. 1 to 6 RR was interesting, but I did blow my live account because you know I was a little bit too greedy this week. Probably one of my worst trading weeks this whole year. But what a great way to start the to end the month. Next trade. This one I'm still in EuroCAD, but I don't know. I feel like Trump is actually looking at my trades right now because whenever I'm into a trade, Trump is on the other side of the trade. Right? What I mean by the other side, Euro. First of all, I made a right decision to not enter too early because I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait for the U.S. dollar news to get released first. Bear in mind, okay, when the dollar and the euro are oppositely correlated. When the dollar goes up, the euro goes down. When the euro goes down, dollar goes up. Okay, and that's majorly driven by market sentiment. But you have to understand something. The Fed is still hawkish. They're probably going to hike the rates on September. But if we have great US data, usually dollar pushes up. But because we are having a little release in the tension in the Middle East, dollar is, weakening. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take Euro line because the Euro Central Bank is expected to hike the rates as well. And the Canadian dollar, we have CAD. The latest data was positive, but on the overall, it's negative, right? Oil prices are still high. And guess what? Trump is about to bomb Iran based on the news this weekend. And that's probably gonna get the oil prices higher, so Canadian dollar is gonna go higher. So it's probably gonna do this. But I'm gonna keep on holding the trade because I believe if we don't have nothing happen this weekend, that could be really good for the market. It could create a real release of the market, and EuroCAD could probably go up. So you might ask yourself what I'm trading with. Actually, my live account, no, my funding account. I mean, so I'm in a little bit of a drawdown, but hopefully we are gonna have a great week, trading week, the upcoming week. Believe me, guys. Hopefully, I have a great video. And if y'all guys have any question, let me know.